I heard something.
Obligation.
An obligation. Anybody else?
Maybe like a guideline.
Okay, a guideline. Okay, somebody else? No? But he looking around because he don't want me accent. No, not you. Bow tie. What's a contract to you?
Could be a written or verbal agreement binding two parties or entities. In a particular deal.
That's what he said, right? All right. So, let's read what it has. What is a contract? Is a legally enforceable agreement giving rise to an obligation for the parties involved. Now, when you read that, you have a little bit of it here, a little bit of it here, 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 and here. Is binding because you have obligations. It's not a guideline. Okay? It's a legally binding agreement. So as we begin to discuss the principles of contract law, I want you to bear in mind a contract either from at work or a contract that you've entered into yourself. We got that? Okay. So, whenever someone says they have a contract, in order for you to use that word contract, there are certain elements that must be in place in order for you to use that word contract. You with me? Okay. Must have an offer, acceptance, consideration, intention, and legal capacity. These are the elements of a contract. So, you can't just have an offer and you say you accept. It's not a contract. Offer plus acceptance equals an agreement. You gotta have an offer and acceptance, but if you don't have consideration, you don't have a contract. And an order, if you have offer, acceptance, and consideration, if you don't have these two elements, they refer to whether or not the contract is actually valid. So now let's go through what is an offer. What's an offer?
Proposal.
Yes.
Terms.
The terms? No. Put that on the side here. An offer is not a term. It could be a promise. And when we say promise, what do we mean? When you say someone enter into a contract and it was based on a promise.
It's like an invitation to treat.
No.
An expectation.
Yes. So a promise is based on an act. When someone say they made you an offer, you have to decide whether or not it was a genuine offer or it was an, as he said, an invitation to treat.
True.
So when you said invitation to treat, what did you mean?
And then that's pretty much when someone proposes an offer to you, you did not accept, but you had discussions along the lines of the agreement and the details, but the person did not accept.
No, we're going further down the line.
No,
No.
I don't remember exactly.
When you saying that, you in between these two here.
It's similar to an
It's
offer.
still on the table,
and
right?
It's still on the table.
An invitation to treat means is actually an invitation. That's all it is.
Or an actual invitation.
No, attendance addenda. An invitation to treat is when someone has a car for sale and it's displayed and it says $3,000. That's an invitation to treat. That's all it is. Someone has an object for sale in the window is an invitation to treat. That's all it is. It's inviting you to ask a question or to come in and inquire about it. That's an invitation to treat. It's not like me saying to you directly, I'll offer this to you. I'll sell this to you for $1. It's between the two persons who are about to enter into an arrangement that could end up into a valid contract. Because I have to make the offer, he has to accept, and he has to give me the money. Okay? So when it comes to an invitation to treat versus an offer, the handouts are coming. Look at the one I just gave you. Is there a case on there that speaks to invitation to treat?
Fisher versus Bell.
Yes, and what does it say? Mm-hmm. Oh, they make it some more. Yeah. What does it say?
The shopkeeper was prosecuted for offering for sale an offensive weapon by exhibiting a flip knife in a shop window. Held, the display of an article with a price on it in a shop window is merely an invitation to treat. It is in no sense an offer for sale.
Okay, so now look at the handle what I gave you all, the actual drawing. Because I've actually drawn, taken from the internet. It actually tells you the process, and it's on the side I have the cases that are relevant. You see it? Right. So display of goods, your Fisher versus Bell, and pharmaceutical versus Boots. And advertisement, you have Patras versus Critter, or you could have Carlisle versus Carbolic, which was an invitation to treat to the whole world. And you could find these cases online. So when we talk about an offer, you have to decipher whether or not it is an invitation to treat or a mere supply of information. Okay? So not everything is an offer. And you'll see when you get your homework, you will have to be able to tell me whether or not there was an offer and there was an acceptance and whether there was actually a contract between the parties. So, someone makes an offer, how do you accept? What is acceptance? Come on, y'all say you read, let's go. What's acceptance? Otherwise it could be a long night.
Final declaration to the terms of an offer.
What does that mean?
That means if I say yes, I can accept by raising yes or
Okay.
signing to agree to the offer terms.
What else?
Well, how about a Judge J? Body language.
Yes? And remember, in law, these things can be inferred by your actions. So we good? So if I made an offer, how do I revoke that offer? How do I revoke it?
You could either do it,
You could do it the same way you could do it by.
you could do it by yourself or a third party, you can assign a third party to the offer. You could do it as a written statement.
Can you not accept
Revocation.
offer? The acceptance?
That's rejection.
Or you could simply, pull the offer from. Okay,
And then that's the offer.
yeah.
Is that how do you reject? Yeah.
How do you revoke an
Revoke
offer?
You could just.
Revoke acceptance?
Yeah,
You just refuse?
exactly. That's one way.
You just refuse?
At any time. No, you go from the other end. At any time, you could say
To revoke is
the
to
offer is,
offer then.
it's both. You could say at any time before the person accepts, you can say the offer is no longer on the table.
Okay.
What's a second way in which you can revoke an offer? I heard it already.
Like you said,
Uh-huh.
the third party, have a third party do it.
You can. What's the relationship between the third party and the person the offer was made?
Or would it be like their lawyer or something?
Someone who is sufficiently reliable.
Okay.
It's not anybody. Okay?
That's like with real estate, we have property, other real estate agent, middle person.
Yeah. So what's consideration? We know that offer and acceptance equals you have an agreement.
Consideration is considering the terms on the agreement.
Is that exchange?
When you say exchange, what you mean?
Meaning like you do like offers, I'm sure there's an exchange, a return of your, return for the offer.
Mm-hmm. And so that is?
Money.
Or performing the act. That's what consideration is. Good night. It's either the money or you do the act that you had promised to do. Because remember, an offer can be a promise.
On, yeah.
In contract law, you call this executed consideration because you've done the act. And here, when you have to pay, we call it executory. Good? Now, what's intention? The third element of a valid contract. You must have the intention to create legal relations. What do you think that means?
So it's like a form of. Another form of security to, to assure that the parties involved would adhere to the contract,
To the offer.
the offer, sorry.
Say it again.
Is it a form of security?
What do you mean security?
The intention, like, the intention for legal, involvement, to assure that the parties involved would adhere to the terms and conditions of.
We using the same word to can. No.
Just like, sticking to the terms which you agreed to.
You're using the same
Understand.
word again. They're not terms.
Sticking to the terms.
No, they're not terms.
Sticking to the offer,
Contract.
To the
sticking to
agreement?
the consideration,
binding of the
the contract.
A contract.
Sticking to the
When I say the
agreement.
word intention, what do I mean?
What you-
We mentioned this
thought
already.
process- What's your thought process?
Thought
When you-
process.
When you,
It's
I
thought.
guess what's
Intention is thought. Mind. Remember I told you that when we discuss what is law, and what I said law is based on what?
Yeah.
What's in the mind, and what you actually do.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, what's in mind without that?
Exactly. So when you talk about the intention to create legal relations, they look at when this person made an offer, this person accepted, and the funds were exchanged or the act was carried out. Was in their minds at that time 2 persons, or whether it's 3 persons, entered into that arrangement? Did they intend to create a legal binding arrangement? That's what that means. Intention to create legal relations. Both persons or both parties must be of the same mind. I'm intending to create a legal binding arrangement with you, but you don't intend to agree with the same thing. We are on 2 different modes. And that's why you see people that argue that we did not have a valid contract. Because I did not intend to create this legal relationship with you. That's not what I gathered from our conversations.
My student need this.
Yeah.
Alright, because one of them could be like impossible to send out because it's so big.
Mm,
And
send
the
them
older people, the older people giving me the problems.
Or the big one, eh?
Yeah.
Put them
like-
1-1.
Yeah,
Put
that's
them
what I'm
on.
trying to
Yeah,
do.
okay. Who didn't get one of the first sheets? You got one? You got one? Huh? You go big now? Yes. You have, right? Okay. This one here. So we have that, right? If I decided, if he and I are brothers and sisters, I made him an offer, he accepted, he gave me the money. Or he gave me part of the money. So we're having an argument and I said to him, but we had a contract. I made you an offer, you accepted. You said you're gonna pay, you give me part, I want the rest. Is it legally binding? Was it a contract? Why not?
Y'all
Because you have
intentions,
different intentions.
y'all intentions clearly different.
You didn't
I
know
agree.
this
Isn't a
in terms
contract a
of-
contract?
Because there was no nothing legally
Because he
saying that.
clearly,
There was nothing.
he ain't trying to pay you the full thing. You had in your mind that he's paying you the full thing.
Last class, we spoke about different types of law,
Oh, I was in
right?
Sorry.
When you enter into an arrangement with a family member, it's considered to be domestic. And the court doesn't see it as a legal binding contract. It's between family. It's
Why?
domestic.
I didn't know,
Why
they
not?
didn't see it as legal. I didn't know.
Why
I didn't know
not?
that. I read that, but I didn't know.
Yeah, it's domestic.
So they don't see that as
So
legal
you might
binding
someone go
because
now,
it's
check on
domestic.
check.
So if I borrow money from
It was
my
right.
sister, she said,
Yeah,
tell
you
me where to
have
pay
to,
her
exactly,
back.
you have to enforce it by a legally binding contract,
So you have to.
which
you
is,
have to
which is
draw
fair
one
to
then.
both parties,
We can't do
not
that.
extreme.
We can do that with family.
Mm-hmm. But again, I'm saying if you go before the court is gonna say, but you all are brothers and
Even if
sisters.
you have a.
You need to try and
Hey,
work this out, cause
a
it's
serious case.
a family issue.
So they can take that.
This is why
serious.
family issues take so long in court.
Wow.
That's why families hurt each other.
Exactly, because you have to come to an arrangement.
They ain't.
It's just like when two persons get married and they're getting a divorce, what the court says,
you only-
go out
Yeah.
and figure out
Yeah.
what you,
And then come to me.
and then come back to me.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Come to some arrangement.
Yeah, it's-
What you mean what I mean?
They file it.
You file for divorce, divorce is the first thing, right? So you say, I filed for divorce, but there are assets. Before you get that decree absolute, you have to figure out how much you giving her, or she have to figure out what she's giving you. You're not gonna stand before a judge and say, I ain't giving you that, I giving you this. No, no. You come back with a position. Well, that's different.
It's because.
But before you even get it, you have to go for counseling. Yes, you have to go to counseling. The Constitution says,
Yeah, you have to
how
go
many of you
to
read the
counseling.
Constitution? I told you all to read did you buy it?
I just come.
No, I don't.
I remember the.
You remember?
I
Right.
remember it.
So what I'm saying is, whatever we do, remember, is based on those principles. No matter how much you run from it, always remember the law of the land.
Buy a book.
If you stood before an audience and you say, I take this woman to be my lawfully wedded wife, hear the word? Lawfully. She said the same thing. You say for better, for worse, rich or poor, sickness and health. You don't just walk up and say, I don't want her no more.
So it's better.
You cannot do that.
It's better to work till you show them go to court.
Yeah.
You have to, yeah, you have to
Yeah,
have
they
to.
should do.
You should do. You go for counseling and then you
But
say,
what if the next
we
partner?
can't work it out.
What if, you saying it, what if you want
Like, what if the next one doesn't want to?
But
then
if
when
you
you
don't
come
agree
back to
with-
court, you say, I went to counseling, or we had 7 sections and the person didn't come. And then again, it didn't show up.
And then all
And so
the
the
onus
judge
on
will
them.
say, is your client interested in this marriage? Why didn't he go? And sometimes when they come, they say the opposite of what the act that they did. Oh, I was very busy at work, I couldn't get off. You consult with his lawyer, my client wants another time. He wants more time. You go back at it again.
Some people.
Yeah, so it's just, yeah. What happened to you? Why are you looking depressed?
So make sure you do it once.
But these are things you have to think about.
You seeing some.
Don't go
I
kill her
listen,
now.
I listen.
Oh no, don't do that. You get no life insurance money. So domestic. Now me put an X there, okay? Now what if I enter into a commercial arrangement? Do you think I can say I did not intend to create it? If 2 companies, commercial arrangements.
That's impossible.
Exactly. So normally a commercial arrangement is binding. You know what it takes to make an arrangement binding
I was just gonna.
for a company?
What makes it binding?
How do you make it binding? If I say 2 companies went into the offer and acceptance, they've given consideration, what gives you the intention?
The contract, black and white, signed, a signed contract.
More than that.
Signed and black and
We're talking the intention now.
The fact that you're actually going in it to make money.
No, no, no. Yes. Remember, a company is an actual individual. So the individual have to give the okay to enter into the agreement. The company as a person must give the authority to enter into this arrangement. So you must have a board of directors resolution. Or the manager or the director or the officer who is given the instruction must have the authority to do so. Got it? That's how you get the intention. The mind of the company is the board and the officers who carry out its instructions. So, do I have that paper? Yes, I do. When you act on behalf of a company, in some instances, if it is a third party or someone the company has contracted with in order to carry out his instruction, an agency relationship develops. Hmm? Yeah, more reading material. You could read it or not read it.
It's up to you,
That's
eh?
good, it's up to you.
It's deeper than it is. I thought it was a yeah, no sign. I said,
Huh? You thought it was what?
you know, I thought it was a yeah, no sign. I said, this thing very deep.
Yes, it is deep. Contract law is deep. And so look on page 177 of what I just gave you. It says the main ways in which an agent may be appointed include express. And we know express means written or oral. So you could say, I hereby employ you as my agent. Or it can be implied by the way someone acts.
Okay.
Yes. If you go all about, and you working for a company, and you go all about it, and you say, I'm acting on behalf of ABC company. I'm acting on behalf of wherever you go. All of those persons assume you're acting as an agent. Then it's up to that company when they find it to ratify it. Or you become personally liable. And then it happens by operation of law. So I need you to read this so you can know when an agency develops. Look at the next page, 178. The authority of agent. An agent can have actual authority, which means he has an actual document, like someone who has a power of attorney, and it says this is what you can do when you come into a bank. All power of attorneys don't have the same provisions. So people assume when they hear OPOA, okay, or you can open and close an account, you can withdraw. No. You have to read each one. All of them are not open. Some are only limited to do certain things, and some have a time period. They don't just stand forever.
So you're saying if I go into a company as a, I guess as a regular, let's say hypothetically, I go into a company as a teller,
Mhm.
and I carry myself in the way that I am like a supervisor. I go inside the supervisor's like, I guess safekeeping and handle certain things.
No,
Is that
agency is when you
implication?
act outside of the company.
Outside.
Outside, you go out and you're transacting on behalf of the company,
Like,
as if you have the authority to do so, or you have the authority to do it.
okay. Like that situation was the whole thing.
The Oban?
The Oban thing.
I don't know how, man.
That is never.
Oh, but I know, I mean, I don't
No,
know
you
what
know.
happened, but I know they said someone else
Someone
signed.
else signed who was.
But I'm saying,
the head.
if his name is here, and it says for his signature, right?
Yeah.
But according to my company rules,
Mhm.
I can still sign. I have the authority to sign. I can go and I can sign for him.
Okay.
It doesn't mean I'm forging his signature.
Really?
No.
You can sign
again?
on behalf of the company even though
Yes.
it's not your company, but you just work there.
Yeah.
Why?
How?
Because you have the authority to do so.
Authority
When you are an authorized signatory in a company, you have limits.
I know the limits, I know the limits, I know
Right.
what you mean by that.
So,
So it, and.
so that means that if she and I have the same limit. They had put her name
Even though
here.
she is in the CEOs.
She can't come.
So she could just.
I can sign.
On her
So what
behalf.
you
Even though they wrote her
Would you
name
be
there.
signing your name though?
I sign my name. Because
So I
I'm
can sell over the
authorized.
company, I can sell a company without the other
Yes.
person even. Like
No.
this? Like
No.
that?
No.
Oh, okay. Alright.
No.
Yes, but if I have the authority to sign that kind of contract,
But
you
that's
can't.
why there are limits.
That by the limits.
So, but I can then, so you saying?
Yes.
Only
The
certain
only
things
thing
will
that
be
you
able
have to
to
go
sign.
see is whether or not that person is authorized to sign
So
in
suppose
that
they didn't,
capacity.
suppose they didn't like
Then it's not
legally-
valid.
So they didn't put that in, like, nobody's to sign to say, turn over the company to someone else. Nobody signed something like that at all.
What do you mean?
Like, suppose they don't even have that kind of stipulation in their company, like, that one person, that this specific person can sign on this kind of contract.
No, there's a resolution from the board.
They have to do that.
From the board, comes from the board.
I know it's
The
someone to
board,
bypass
the
it.
board can actually say that for a sale or purchase, only she can sign it. If the board resolution just says, the company is hereby
Something vague.
authorized to purchase this bag, whoever has the limit can sign it. Unless they stipulate it's only this person. So that's why when you read things in the press, you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Because yes, that person signed there, but they could have been authorized to sign.
Mhm.
He could have been, when he walked out, the person can't make it, you sign. Whoever gave him instructions then told the corporate secretary, call the rest of the directors, because I'm sending him to sign. Ratify it. That don't come before you. At the end of the day, you want to know if you have a valid contract. And the corporate secretary will say, this person is authorized to sign on behalf of the company. That's the question you ask. Was this person authorized to sign on behalf of the company? You don't blatantly say this person forged this person's signature. Were they authorized to sign on behalf of the company?
That's the end of the discussion, right there.
Yes.
That's it.
So it becomes embarrassing,
Yeah. That is.
all right? So you have actual authority, apparent authority. You have usual authority. This is authority possessed by an agent in consequence of his involvement with a certain trade or profession. And so that's why you be very careful. If you know someone in a particular profession, they're always coming and coming and coming, that doesn't mean they have the authority of all the people they represent to act on their behalf. Right. Then I have the relationship between principal and agent. So when you see someone acts as an agent on behalf of a company, they've entered into a contract. And they have to follow what the contract says they can do and cannot do. Yeah, someone's about to say something. Hmm?
So that's like with the buying time.
No,
that's
agent
the-
cannot delegate unless the contract permits him to do so. Whenever you enter in a contract, no matter what it is, even your employment contract, you operate between what they call in law, the four corners. So if your contract is from 8 to 4, you work from 8 to 4. You don't decide upon yourself, I'm taking an early lunch every day, because that is not your contract. It's not. If you decided you're going to work before time and after time, and you want to put in for overtime, that is not your contract. Because behind this contract is these.
They only said that.
Got it?
They only said that they've been.
That's why I say don't use these words when you talk about the contract. The contract are the four corners that you sign. These are the terms and conditions that come behind it, all the company's policies and procedures.
So there's no overriding factor. If a company says you're supposed to be working from 9 to 5, and I work till 8, and I
Then you have to go to the company's overtime policy, which the first thing says, were you authorized to do so by your supervisor, and what did you come to do? And if you didn't get that prior to, I'm not obligated to pay you. That's your problem.
I just ask, they don't care.
No, I'm saying, that nobody have to understand contract law, it applies to everything you do. And this is why people get angry, is, oh, I believe that company, well, you didn't pay me, I did this, they didn't pay me, but everything comes back to what was in the
I
contract.
understand.
So I have a question. In the event that I had a coworker of mine, they stay back for hours up to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the manager had a problem with it,
Mhm.
saying that they only staying back to probably meet and exceed what is expected.
Mhm.
The manager had a problem saying that you need to leave at 5:15 the latest.
Mhm.
because You're not entitled to overtime and all that.
But that's what I just finished saying. Before you work overtime, you have to get authorization to do so, according to the
But
company's
I'm not
terms and
asking for
conditions.
money,
He's
though.
not
I'm not asking for
on
money.
your contract.
Okay, so then that falls in another realm.
It's
It's
a
the
employee.
risk.
This whole time.
Risk, okay.
It's the risk to the organization for you staying late. If there's no reason for you to stay late, then why are you staying late?
What you mean if there's no
You need,
reason?
no, I'm saying he's there, he wants to meet or exceed.
No.
He
no.
didn't
He has
ask
to
for
meet and
overtime.
exceed between the times of the contract.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, but sometimes
So-
that's not.
It's not,
that's not-
sometimes, a lot of time,
To be,
it's not suffice.
not to be rude, to be blunt, then that means you're not competent enough.
That's not true.
That's how you
I
see
have to
it.
disagree
You're
with
working
you.
in an
I have to
institution
disagree with you.
Hold
where
on.
I have to
one job
disagree.
used to be shared between
I
three
agree.
persons, and now
I
it's
agree,
one person.
but guess what?
That's difficult.
But hold on. This is my contract. This is my contract,
I'm sorry.
right?
No,
so you telling me?
And this is what I gave you to do. If you cannot do it, then you don't take the job.
no.
They're not
telling me-
expecting that.
Alright, I
That's
understand.
No, that's how
I
it is.
understand. I understand how
what
far I
you're
can
saying.
go.
That's what it
But
is.
you're gonna
Yeah, it is what it
reality of
is.
things, so.
Because they're not gonna pay overtime.
No, they ain't
That's
gonna pay
not
that.
their job.
Exactly.
They're not
Yeah,
looking
they ain't gonna
for
pay
overtime.
that.
Asking for
But
overtime.
you can't get everything done.
Versace, you're
Yeah.
gonna
Just get
reality.
authorization.
Yeah.
I
And
understand
then they
what
feel
you're
as though
saying.
if
But
you
then
do
you look at the
overtime,
risk.
you won't,
Yeah.
you won't get paid for
The
that.
organization looks at the risk.
Yeah.
Because when
That's
they
what
look
the
at their
company would say,
liability
though.
insurance,
The company
that's
would say
another
that.
problem. Because when you fill out your insurance every year, they ask you these questions.
The reason why they get mad, cause I was a hit from ERCOT in Canada. So it's not them being
Mhm.
that way. That was actually a breach.
Yeah, you gotta look at all these things. You cannot have people working every day, whatever hours they feel like. Because there are other risks to the organization. Okay?
Because there's no overtime paid.
Exactly. And remember now, the organization have contracts with all kinds of vendors. And if you breach any of the terms and conditions in those agreements, what's gonna happen when there's a liability? They won't get paid.
What you mean, like,
If
Porsche
it
was
would,
there when the cleaners came in and Porsche slipped over the bar.
all of that, why were you there?
Why were you there?
Exactly.
Oh, Lord.
Why were you there?
Oh, okay.
People come and they see you every night. These 5 people always waiting late. They come to rob the bank. You all have the combination of the vault. Why you there? When the vault, according to your liability insurance, you told the people the vault is locked every night by 7 o'clock the
I
latest.
don't think they take those things into consideration when they put these extra things on your road.
That's the
Listen,
reality of
listen
things.
up. That's a different
reality.
issue.
This-
That's
talking
different issue.
law.
We're talking
Talking facts.
contract.
We talking facts.
Yeah,
That's
we
not
need
reality.
to talk about
She's
reality
talking
right now.
human resources issue.
Yeah, we talking facts.
No, I mean, to be honest.
No, but that's a human resource issue.
that's a
Yeah,
different issue.
Yeah, it's a different issue.
I feel
We feel you, but that's a human resource
It
issue.
wasn't there when they first signed the contract.
No, you gotta start from the books.
Yeah,
From
this
the
is the
paper.
agreement that they have.
Just in case.
You enter into a contract with one thing.
But the organization and the insurance company, don't forget insurance reinsure. They're going by the norm. They're not gonna take one bank that's in the Bahamas who decides they're gonna go outside the norm. When they have one insurance that covers all the entities around the world, it don't
Depends
happen.
on you. It depends on you.
Doesn't happen. That's like you tell they live in insulated worlds.
Depends on how far they can go.
They're not gonna do it.
Let's see if they can.
Yeah, they're not gonna do it. You see? And your mind have to be open to it. That's why they outsource. Because their mind is open to it. See? What? Yeah, we're doing it. When you leave out, Junior. Okay, on turning to 180, termination of an agency. The parties can agree that they want to terminate it mutually, or the agent can renounce his appointment, or the principal can revoke the agreement that he has with the agent. Or it can happen by operation of law. The principal dies, or becomes bankrupt, or becomes insane.
How you qualify as insane? This-
Insanity is when you don't have a lucid moment.
in law.
So you have a lot of people on drugs, people who drink, but that doesn't mean that they cannot enter into contract.
I like that.
It doesn't mean that.
Oh, yeah, that's dangerous.
No, it's not.
What you mean? If I get you tipsy and I tell you put
That's different. You knew.
no, we at a bar, we just drinking, we saying alright.
That's different. You know he's drunk. You're taking advantage.
So you can find out and say, oh, I was drunk when I signed that.
And you got him drunk, it's intentional.
Oh wait, I don't intend to get you drunk though. You
He's the one who
We want
get
you-
the cup and put it
you start drinking. We at the bar. We just
Yeah, but
we
why
want to
would
sign.
Why you like the bar? Yeah.
We just
At
want
the
to
bar.
sign.
When you know
Yeah.
the man is not
Yeah.
sober. Come on, no. Won't stand up.
Yeah.
All by lies of time. Won't stand up, no. That's intentional.
You intended. I intended.
Yes, you did. It's not right. Not at all. Okay, so legal capacity, I did that when I did this. That's for a company. And then for an individual, what's the legal capacity for an individual to enter into a contract?
Yeah.
Is them, would it be for them
Is
to
that the-
sign? No?
Does that have to do with their citizenship and stuff?
What?
What
They must be able to understand.
And, and, and,
Agree.
come on. Legal age, read your constitution, man. Come on.
See how it's going with
So you
president.
may-
18, you have to be 18 and
How long
over.
is you 18?
Also,
18 and over.
So that's like. That's like.
No, that's the only term?
Adults. with
Yes.
their parents.
Right. So a minor goes on an account with the parent, right?
Yeah.
Whatever
You know,
age.
parents.
And what happens when they're 18?
They take sole
They have the
sole
choice.
liability.
They have a
Not everybody
choice.
do it. Parents are
They have a
the-
choice. They could continue with the contract and remove their parents, or they could say, I don't want the account.
Yeah.
Got that?
Yeah.
So even if you entered into a contract to sell something to an individual who is a minor, when that person arrives at the age of 18, let's say they still owe you $1,500, they could decide they don't want to pay you anymore, and they don't
I
have to
wish I
pay you.
didn't know that.
I wish I didn't know that.
I wish I didn't know that.
Now, a person who is a minor can legally enter into an arrangement if it is for what we call necessity. So what do you think necessity means? Yes, a minor can, if it's for necessity. They can enter into a contract, any type of contract, if it is for necessity. So what do you think necessity means for minor?
Substance of life.
Substance of life.
Say it again.
Something that they need, food,
Education.
clothing. They can enter validly into a contract.
Can I speak to you, please?
Yes, hold on one sec. My copies are not coming.
Social services.
I tell them to be easy.
Yes.
The only thing is, they scam just like laborers. Like, just realize that.
They want to-
So the bundle with the other cases? I have a more, a fuller one than this. He's gonna scan it to you, because the machine is not,
Sent by email.
yeah, it's not taking it.
didn't sign the register.
I don't have it, was it? I have it? Okay. So we getting it good now? Yes? You kicking it? We cooking with gas? And then remember, I said for legal capacity, someone who is insane, drunk, on drugs, can still enter into a contract.
Same person can?
There are a lot of insane people even work where you work.
That's true. That's a weird.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, a person.
There are a lot of people who, they don't have to go to Sandlands.
You saying?
As an aside, you know a normal person from an abnormal person.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are abnormal, but they can still
What do
function.
you consider abnormal?
And they can function even without medication. But you can tell that they are abnormal. Yes.
But I'm
They
just
are.
saying, I'm just saying incapacity, that's doctor restricted
Really?
capacity.
Yeah, because you don't know when they're lucid. So that's why if I want to transact with you and I know you're drunk or
what is
you're
abnormal?
insane, I have to know when you are lucid
Define,
and not in that state.
define
You see?
abnormal. Define abnormal.
You don't know anyone who's abnormal?
No, give me your definition of someone that's.
Someone who's bipolar.
Yep.
Oh.
There's
That
a lot
has
of
a
them around here who are not on medication.
That's a psychological.
Because they don't know.
Yes, they don't know.
Legitimate
Then they think
psychological.
it's normal,
Yep.
Oh.
but it's not normal.
Yep.
It's called mood swings.
Well, yeah, but you know the difference between a female who has mood swings
I know that.
and someone who's bipolar.
They can still enter a legally binding.
A bipolar?
No, yeah, you said they right.
They do it all the time
I got you.
because they don't realize that they have a mental problem.
So if they realize now,
And you are aware.
and you are aware,
Yes.
that's the clue. That's the main.
Yeah. Because a lot of people enter into contracts with bipolar people
People
who
that they
do not
didn't
know
know.
that they are bipolar.
Right.
And you don't know that they're bipolar.
No, you didn't know.
And then when you get to the crux where they're supposed to be paying you some money, they start to tell you they don't know what you're talking about. And that is the arrangement.
You was talking
Because
to
mentally,
you was talking to a different person.
mentally they're unstable.
You was talking to a different
No, they're
person.
not schizo.
They ain't split.
No,
No. They just swing it.
they swing it.
Yeah. All right. What?
Are you trying to diagnose yourself?
Huh?
I'm asking if he's trying to diagnose himself.
Maybe. Who
No, no, no,
knows?
no, no.
So I did minor. Let me use some terms for you. When you come to all right. When you talk about legal capacity and whether the person is 18, 16, 18, insane, drunk on drugs, or whether or not the board has approved it, you have to ask yourself, meeting those elements, is the contract valid, voidable, or unenforceable? Those are the terms to use. Hmm?
After looking at all those things, are just the legal.
Yeah, when you look at this
Okay.
and you're here, you've already agreed to this. There was an offer, there was an acceptance, monies was paid. Their intention to create legal relations based upon the conversation or the way in which this was executed. You have the documentation. Now, did they have the legal capacity? Did the person who signed, did they sign within the remit of their authority? This person here, were they sane, insane, were they lucid? Were they under 18? Was it for necessity? This determines whether or not the contract is valid. Voidable means that something else have to be done in order to make it valid, or it's just totally unenforceable. Which means there's no contract, because you can't enforce it. What if the person is disabled?
Make it sound.
I think that is
Come on.
Working.
Could also
You
mean-
say
There you go. You have a POA.
Really?
Yes.
Yep, that's what they're supposed to do.
So if I have a wheelchair,
If you had a stroke, anything like that, any kind of something.
Yeah, you'll be away.
I'm doing something. Or you might just be too old.
Or too old, yeah, or blind.
Yeah.
Because I still see a lot of people who are blind when it's time, this kind of time of the month. I see them all outside, Bank of the Bahamas on Shirley Street, dark glasses on. You gotta blow your horn because someone holding their hand, they trying to get across the road to get NIB. Just give them a POA. There has to be someone you can trust. But it's so dangerous to see people walking on the street with the blind person holding behind them, everybody honking. They can't see, but they still going.
Why don't many people use stuff like that? Why?
They don't know.
A lot of people in this country don't know.
They don't know and they don't ask. They think that is the way they go because when they go, their friends are out there also. So like this morning at before 7 o'clock, there's almost 20 of them out on Shirley Street, sitting on the steps. Hold on, sitting on the steps. Some over on this side, and then when I went to turn by Frederick Street, they walking on this side. You see what I'm saying? Come on now. No ill feelings, but you know, it's just, you know. And because everything now is automated, if they have a POA to put in, so go to the machine, take out the money and take it home to them. Or go and buy the grocery, whatever there's a need. There's no need for all of these old people. Some get all the feet bandaged up and the feet big, God forbid me. And they... That is stuck in your waist and getting knocked down. Does that make sense? Yes. But I'm saying at that hour in the morning, the bank doesn't open until 9:30. Why you out 6:45 in the morning waiting for a bank to open?
They won't get out. That's the only time they get out.
They could go to the park. Yes. Huh? Why? Because the markets are open.
They believe the bank is gonna steal them.
There are many exchanges, you know, stock exchanges, and they open at different times. So we're in this zone, and there are other zones, so you gotta be there early. Okay? What she mumbling in the back there?
I said my second sleep at that time.
At 6:45.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get
I'm in my car on my way to work. Why
I
not?
used to wake up and I was living very close, but now I live very
And no. It ain't really because I used to it. I used to
So you just gotta set a tune back.
Y'all are the future, you know. You get up early. Decent. They have to get up early. Well, we'll have more issues like that one in the back. I said they have to get up early.
I wouldn't need for nothing.
Why you need to sleep? Let me tell you something. When you retire, whether that's 65, 55, 65, 70, or 75, that's all you've done to do.
No man, that's probably time.
Everybody don't have the opportunity to travel. Because as soon as they retire, they get sick. So don't ever do that. To say you're going to travel when you retire. You travel while you work.
Yep.
Wrong decision to make in life.
travel while you work, while you
What you say?
While you are working.
And the next day after
Yes. Or you get diagnosed. My father, when he retired, in, 3 months or whatever, he was diagnosed with cancer and angina. He was not able to travel for the next 25 years of his life. Because he died almost 90. Yes, he did. You see what I'm saying? So you don't wait, you don't know. You have to take the lessons learned from others who walked the path before. You don't wait. Never put off for tomorrow what you can do today. That's what you're working for. Enjoy life.
What about my sleep for tomorrow?
No sleep. No sleep. All right. So when you finish these elements of a contract, there are other things to be taken into consideration as to whether or not a contract is valid. One, go back if you want to the very first page of chapter 3. You have to look at the contract terms. Now you come into this. Chapter 3 when it first began. You have to look at the terms of the contract. Then you have to look at the form of the contract. Then you look at the contractual capacity of the parties. With me? Where is she looking?
You said there's 25.
There are other things you have to, yeah, I'm not going to read it verbatim to you. You read.
Alright, okay.
Then you have to look at whether or not the consent between the parties were genuine. So what does that mean?
Yeah, what that mean?
That means like your guy who you have in the bar, getting them drunk to do the contract?
Right.
That's not genuine.
No.
No.
How do I know that though?
Because he is inhibited. It has to be free.
No
It
man,
has to be free.
you can't prove that.
Could have been lying.
And then
But
check.
if drunk, he doesn't sound like.
If, okay, he can act like he really over there, just saying.
No.
And he's in a bar?
That's not genuine.
That's not genuine at all.
Try it. I know someone who got away with it though.
Like it's a, are they drunk?
Yeah.
They got her to sign over a whole property.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't really.
Yeah.
And he got her drunk, and I was the only person to say, I know that she did that when she was drunk. He got her drunk. And he still got away with it. Because they never took it to
That's
court.
like saying.
Why didn't she take it to court?
What?
But she wanted to
that's
do
I ain't
the
talking about that.
I was scared not straight to court. And her
I-
children are saying, take this to court. I'm willing to say that I saw what he did, but they didn't do it. And he got away.
That's why he got away.
The same property he got her to sign over, and he got his house and whatever. He lose the house and the property.
But I'm just saying, right?
Yes.
Right? Has there ever been a case where a person,
There are many cases.
go ahead,
Case what?
where they signed it while they was drunk and they couldn't win it, right?
Sometimes you win it, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you don't.
Depends on the argument.
Yeah. Well, the argument, no. When you say argument is you give your part, that person
Yeah.
gives their part.
It
And then
depends
the
on
Give it
how-
better.
judge decide which one gives more credence, which one makes more sense.
But if you know, you can be signing a contract.
Why?
Why you getting drunk?
Exactly.
Yeah, but
That's
yeah, but you don't know that
Like,
the
put
intent
that
is to
right
get
while
you
I
drunk.
They may not know that.
So let's say,
Okay,
let's
one
just say,
drink is
let's say I
fine.
ask her what you drinking, and she say, I like white wine. Now you know there are different white wines. There's some like water, there's some bitter, some sweet, semi-dry, and there's some that are heavy. But she could drink that now, she feels nothing. By the time we're ready for to sign that contract, she's so drunk, she don't know whether she coming or going. All she know is I came here to sign this document, and she'll sign it.
But I get say drunk too. We drink the same wine though. We drink the same.
Yeah, your tolerance is different.
Oh, see, no, you'll get me.
And you may not even drink the same white wine she drinks.
See, y'all going too deep. We drinking
Yeah,
the
but
same
then- but then
wine. We
people-
having the same amount of fun. We talking the same way. We writing with the same pen. We read the same contract. I was
Yeah.
drunk too.
Contracts with the buying people just to sign it.
You just
and
saying,
that's why
I-
they don't know about the fees.
No.
Or you and my friend.
How you could
You
prove
say,
my
oh,
tolerance?
just sign this for the
I might
like
be
Leo
more-
Mona,
I might
but I
be
just
more
signed
drunk
over
than
reading, considering the terms and conditions.
And then
No.
what happens when they
then-
say, I didn't agree to that?
Exactly.
What
But you
happens?
can't say that, but you can
signature,
sign it,
yeah,
then
You
you
can
trust me
sign
'cause
it,
I your
ignorance
friend.
is no excuse.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
sign
If
it.
you
You
didn't
lying?
read it, that's
You
your
sign
problem.
because it half royal, but you gonna
You
let
have,
me
you
trust
have to read it.
You lying?
It will, you
So
know.
everybody was getting arms and say, but I didn't know but this, I didn't know but
Yeah,
that.
right.
But it's right there.
Right there.
You sign for it.
Just like with the service fees.
Yes.
Oh, you read that?
Or the right to offset and stuff. The
No.
right to offset.
Yeah. But you do realize when we get further, when we go into banking law itself, as an officer of the bank, you have a duty to explain the key points in the contract. before that client sign. You shouldn't just blindly say, oh, this is the account opening documents, this is a loan document, sign it. No, you have to point out, these are some salient things that you need to be aware of. Because those become, hold on, because those becomes the terms and condition in the contract. Unless that person's gonna say to you, which the bank will not allow, well, let me take this loan agreement, let me take it for my lawyer to read. They ain't gonna do that.
Oh, I got a client.
I believe it's the agent, the bank.
Because you should have pointed out the salient points. Why you think a lot of people were angry when it came that their houses were repossessed? A lot of people didn't know what the law required. That the act actually says after you miss 3 consecutive payments, the bank has the right to take your house. It's there in black and white. So every time you give someone a mortgage, if you don't tell them, there is the provision in here which says, but you have to point it out. All they know is I get the mortgage, I'm finally getting it.
But they sign the mortgage,
The bank won't do that.
No, you can't. But the mortgage
The
document
bank
is
don't
signed
normally
at
do that. They
the.
need to sign the document and go.
But the mortgage document is signed at the attorney's office. At their attorney's office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The attorney should point it out.
What if you don't have an attorney?
You have to have an attorney. But I'm still saying, even though the attorney prepares the document, as an officer of the bank,
But what I'm saying, we don't get the document until later.
but you know what the terms are.
Possible.
You need to make them aware. Let me show you something else. If a husband and wife, these two are husband and wife,
You know?
right? And they're coming for a loan, right?
Something deep.
And he says they want a loan. She's the one who have the fixed deposit. They want a loan. He wants to start a business. And they want to use her fixed deposit as collateral. Would you tell them? Anything else? You tell her that?
Yes.
Before you tell her that, you're supposed to tell her, I advise you to get independent legal advice.
I only set up for property, but not for money.
Yes, you should.
I'm telling you what I do for
Yeah,
sure.
but that's what you should, as a banker, in
Nah.
law.
If
You need
the
to tell her,
property
get
involved, I
independent
usually-
advice.
but after
Because she needs to
I just need to
realize
decide
the
which
ramification when she guarantees, legally. Because they are husband and wife. So she needs to be aware when he defaults, whether she can get her money back from you.
That's between them.
taking
That's
things
personal.
off.
That's not the
We
bank's
breaking
business.
our fix.
That's between them. That's between husband and wife and the bank.
for property, yes.
Talking like a real.
But FTD,
If she borrows that money and she signs that guarantee, and he used that to start up his company, and she did not get any proceeds from that loan, trust me, she'll sue you. Yes, she'll sue the bank. She will sue you.
She can sue her.
that's why the GPOC set out, you putting up this money against this loan,
That's in the term.
not in the terms, and that whole contract they signed.
Do they read it?
No.
That's on
Whose
them.
fault is that?
They
Whose
sign
fault-
it.
whose fault
But,
is that?
and she can't sue me.
When I mean you, I mean the
No,
bank.
I told you I signed it.
Persons, when
she
you give
ain't
it to them,
gonna
it's
sue
like,
her.
The way that
If there's
document is
anything
set
that you don't
out,
Trust me, the
understand,
bank ain't always.
I'll tell you another one. There's a recent case just happened with the same thing, with this universal document that the Canadian banks bring out. And you know what the court in London said? It does not apply to the Bahamas. All it needs is people to take them to court, and then you'll see. The court said this is not the custom in the Bahamas. It's a custom in Canada, but not a custom here.
never lost.
I think also.
That's because Bahamians don't like to sue.
I think they amend them region-wise.
It's based on the arguments when you get there.
Yeah, when you get this, how you argue.
Because my argument is
Gotta know
okay.
yourself.
Okay, so when we talk about these terms and
I
conditions,
have to put that in my head again, so that don't apply in the Bahamas.
there are
The
certain
GPO,
things
The guarantee.
that are written in the contracts that are these universal contracts that the banks have done. And depends on what those contracts are. The recent case, the latest one that just came out last year, the Privy Council ruled that that clause did not relate to the Bahamas.
What did that apply?
I can't remember which one it is, and I'm just saying, because no one has challenged all of these clauses in these documents, that's why they get away with it.
I would like to know which one.
I gotta see if I can remember to find it for you.
Okay.
Not because you see it there in black and white means that it's applicable to the Bahamas.
Did you sign for that?
You could sign for it, but then it comes back to the same thing we're talking about now. Is it valid? No.
So I
That's the case.
No,
That's
you
still-
ain't
Our
getting it.
intentions were
Where
right.
it- No, your intentions cannot
That's
be
still
right
the
if it's
case.
not
The
applicable to
bank
the law of the
indicate that
land.
You sign black and white. Once your signature is on a contract, that's it.
No, it is not.
You see the three
It is
types of
not.
In spite of it
contracts,
not
right?
being
Valid,
valid,
voidable.
No,
you sign. You read, you
no,
understood,
no.
and you
It's
signed.
whether or not the terms and conditions in that contract is applicable to the law of the land here.
I'm sure
Every
this-
country has its own
I'm
laws.
sure this document stands here in the Bahamas.
Yeah, cause.
They're amended reason wise, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
But the only way you could be sure is if someone challenged it in court.
Someone
Challenge
challenged
it.
it, but the only time they hadn't, say if he went back and got more money,
Mm-hmm.
and she did not know, then it becomes void.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Okay.
only challenge. But anything else, no. It's my money. You put it up against the loan.
So the husband or the wife pop up without the other party
Yes.
So how do you know? How do you know?
Me?
Yeah, when I say you, the bank.
knowing. How do you know the wife?
How do you know? Based upon all those other items I just mentioned to you that makes a contract valid. How do you know whether or not she came and she signed that with you and it was under duress? And if she can prove that she did that because he told her, if you don't sign that, I will beat you to death.
Her body
It's
language.
not valid.
How about in language you're telling me?
I think
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I took her in the office and I asked her, I said, you know that if you.
Exactly. You have to go, you have to separate them.
This
Yeah,
happens,
you
this happens,
do-
she
you
said,
do
I
that.
don't want him to be on the account. He's making me do it.
Exactly.
You know, you have to come with the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing it.
We're not. We're not.
And I've
on
seen
board.
when the husband and wife came to do the same thing. And then the wife,
We're
and the
not
wife was
on board
getting
with you.
impatient that she didn't want to
It's the way
sign.
you
He
do it.
beat her in the
I
bank.
said,
What?
I said,
Say it again?
at this
He
point in
beat
time,
her in the
you
bank.
can't.
And said, you are signing this now.
In front of people?
Yes, and to call the police.
So we know that justice isn't gonna happen no more, right?
Yeah, but when a person is being
Yeah,
abused,
but even
they
like
will
that's
do
the
it.
rules.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a lot, yeah. So you could have all of this in place.
No.
You could sign it.
But
But there are other reasons that's going to make the contract.
void.
Exactly.
Oh, no,
You need discernment.
Yeah, I could.
A close friend of mine has a situation right now where
You need discernment from
she
the
had to
wife.
leave her condo and move into a new condo. When she went to the landlord, she said, the landlord gave her this contract, she read over the contract, she signed, not signed, she filled out certain information that she asked. But it didn't specify that she couldn't have children, pets, or whatever in the contract.
Yeah, of course.
So she told the landlord, okay, I'm expecting a child, and I also have 2 dogs, house dogs, small dogs. So the landlord then turns around and tells her, okay, I don't want any children and I don't want any pets. So she then says, okay, well, I'm gonna have to find another place because I'm expecting and I have 2 dogs. So she must have taken that under consideration. So she said, okay, well, I'll allow, since you're pregnant, I'll allow you your child and 1 pet. She's now being forced to give up one of her other dogs. So she is kind of in between on what she should do because she wants the place, but she doesn't want to give up her dog. And she's almost forced because she needs a place to stay now.
So before she signed it, she told him she had
she
Two
told,
dogs.
before she signed it, she told them, she was honest, she said she had 2 small house dogs and she's expecting. They came back and they said that they didn't want any children in the place, and didn't want, but it's not in the contract.
So-
And then the landlord also said that, it was the realtor's fault that they didn't include that in the contract. This is what she told her verbally, after she mentioned that she was already pregnant.
But that ain't the contract I signed, so
But that's
that's
not
not
valid.
valid.
It's nowhere, and I was trying to tell her, it's nowhere in the contract.
Yeah,
She just
two
verbally
sides,
said,
they put
and
the
who's
right
to say that she's not lying on a realtor, whomever may have written up this thing.
And so what
Too bad,
she needs
too
to do,
sad.
so she can remain in is document the date and what she said.
So
just need to bring
what
it up.
if she says she wants to keep her dogs in the place, cause she's allowed 1 dog. If the woman don't check the place, how is she to know that the 2 dogs still there?
Stays checked, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. If she can document, this is what I said, this is what I did, then she has a chronological order. When he comes, she's gonna say we entered in a contract and you knew.
Okay.
Then you said here that it was an omission by the real estate agent. You still didn't bring me a revised contract to
Exactly.
include the
Exactly.
1 child and the 1 dog.
So good night,
Right.
have a good day.
You see what I'm saying? But she has to document it.
Okay.
Because 3-4 years down the line, when he start arguing and say, get out,
Right.
she has no
She
leg
gotta
to
go.
stand on. Because in her mind, she cannot remember when she said, what she said, and what did he say.
Okay.
So now she needs to write it down and tell him, bring me a revised contract. To include
I
this.
was getting
I ain't even advised
an
them on
extra
that.
dog. And 3 dogs.
They've already agreed verbally to 1. So there's no way you could bring 3.
Agreed, oh, they agreed verbally, right, okay. But I was bringing the 2 dogs.
Okay? So there's duress. You can say you signed the contract under a mistake
Or frustration.
or frustration. When do you use
So I was
frustration?
bringing the 3rd dog under frustration.
No. No, 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 no,
I don't understand.
no.
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 Explain a mistake, please. Mistake.
It's when someone is either blind or illiterate.
Oh, okay. I know it ought to be something.
Not someone who just didn't bother to read it.
Okay. Cause,
Remember what I said? Ignorance is no excuse. All right? So what is frustration? Because you gave me an
Things beyond your
example.
control. Things
Exactly.
beyond your control, such as-
So you normally see a contract is frustrated when someone's supposed to do something they cannot do it, maybe because of a hurricane, or maybe because I contracted with him, but I have one part of the leg of what I have to do is subcontracted to someone else. Maybe their trucks are broken down or something like that, so I can't fulfill it because it's frustrated. There's something stopping it from being complete. Okay? Not blockage. This ain't surgery.
Hey, that's my dictionary, that's my word.
No, you can write in the exam, there's a blockage.
Laceration. That's a laceration.
I don't know where he just get these things from. What about when I say there was undue influence?
Yes. No,
If you read the chapter, then you know what missing. What's undue influence?
say it again.
Undue influence.
Undue influence?
I saw that.
Hmm?
Other parties trying
Let us
to
know.
intervene.
Not intervene.
Or get involved.
The weaker party. The weaker
I
party.
didn't see it. Wow, you didn't see it, right? Okay.
I ain't said it.
There's a,
Not in this book.
It's not in the book.
It isn't in the book.
Would you show us where it is in the book?
let me distinguish between the two. Duress is more like violence. And when I say the person slap the person up, I could beat you, punch you, or whatever it is, or I could shoot you, that's duress. Undue influence is when I'm saying there's 2 persons coming to enter an agreement. And one is the weaker party. And so the stronger party influences the weaker one, the sign.
How you
So
explain
basically,
weaker?
Yes.
Weaker in
Okay.
terms of, in terms of weakness?
Husband and wife.
That's weakness?
Yes.
Or you mean like salary, like income wise?
No, weaker. Mentally.
Really?
Oh,
According concern with your salary,
okay.
the mind.
Mentally we get like, okay, like I was explaining like having different like mental health issues.
No.
Weaker?
Where you have a domineering partner. Either the woman or man is more domineering.
You do something and you know I can do it.
Right, that's domineering. When you shout, I do it.
Oh. No.
They scared of you, man. They get you. No.
So those things are usually with husband and wife,
So what if,
or like those kind of.
Yeah, those kind of relationships.
so if you're a submissive, you're more of a submissive person?
That's not being
It could be
submissive.
vice versa,
No,
you know, these
they're
women
different.
are
Submissive is different from
Yes.
being weak.
These women are girls.
Being submissive,
What's this one?
you ain't scared.
What, if you can't trust her?
Misrepresentation.
Yes.
I could be lying.
Transgenders.
What?
No.
I'm going out and I So he missed our conversation. Explain that to me.
I know, right?
But he gonna listen to it on the video. Explain that to me.
Or transgender.
No, how's that misrepresentation?
How is it? Someone's coming to you
As a
as a woman and
or as
their,
a man,
Yeah.
their passport has a male, set,
Yeah.
and they
So you
come
look
to you
like
as
I'm
a
like,
female.
sis.
So that's misrepresentation on the contract.
Would it be, is it like with titles? Is it with
Most
titles?
contracts will have whether or not you're male or female.
Is it with titles?
So it's always fun.
That's like a mission. Like
Is
it's
it like
real.
if I
coming to
say
me?
that
Sis.
I'm somebody I'm not? Is that- in terms
Or
of
you say,
titles,
or if you say you have this service, and this service can do these things, or this product can do, and it cannot.
So it could be
False
also.
That's false
advertisement.
advertising.
That's determining
False
this.
advertisement.
We call it misrepresentation of the
Okay.
facts.
Contract
So
wise.
they
So
could
that's
be
why
against-
as an officer of a company, you be very careful when you promote products.
They don't care.
Because if you promote products and you tell the person, this product can do all of these things, this is what I'm going to offer you.
Just like that thing with these
So they like to use that thing, condition may apply. But if I rely upon what you said to sell it, the terms and condition applies and whether or not I can actually apply for it. But based upon what you sold me,
That's right.
if I relied upon that and I incur a loss, I'll sue you.
That's Fire Fest. We having Beyonce, Jay-Z.
That's going every day. It's an everyday thing.
Again, I say that's because Bahamians don't sue. If they sue, then you would see
People
it.
take you more serious.
Exactly.
Man, all you do is listen to trust me.
Yeah.
Even with these food restaurants,
He's so intelligent.
That's true. Bamboo shot.
I speak so much.
Them chicken as big as the plate.
She's scared? Nah.
So when you talk about representation of a fact, you have to make sure distinguish that between mere sales talk. Remember when I said if you talk about an offer, you have to decipher whether someone actually made a genuine offer or was an invitation to treat. So when you want to say someone misrepresented the facts, were they misrepresenting the facts or was it a mere sales talk? So that's the first thing before you go before the court and you say, well, this contract is not valid. Because he misrepresented the facts. So when you give your evidence as to what happened, then they'll decipher whether or not it was a misrepresentation of facts or whether or not they were just selling you something.
Yeah.
Okay?
Like other account manager at Scotiabank will tell you no fees for 3 months and stuff like that.
That's misrepresentation of the fact if it doesn't happen. That's beyond mere sales talk.
Yeah, but logically speaking, right? If we're
What?
sure it's some kind of way that-
Fine print for these.
So if
Say
your
what?
company say, like a shipping company says, alright, I
No
could
offense to Scotiabank.
I could import. I could if I wanna make like a contract between me and a shipping company, and the shipping company stated beforehand that they could ship over 1,000 goods, they could import over 1,000 goods at a time, every week.
That's embellishment.
Well, that's expressive. I mean, sorry.
No,
That's what?
You made it good up night.
no, but but I said, I tryna sell you my company. But logically, you know that's impossible.
Don't you know that too? You're the same person.
I do actually.
It's embellishment.
Yeah, go over.
That's just like you coming to buy, or she coming to buy this bag, and I tell her this bag has 2 compartments lined with soft leather. It's not leather. And these handles were finely crafted
24
out of, you know, this is sterling silver out of some of the fine silver in the South African mine. You see what I'm saying? I'm embellishing.
Mm.
So you have to know the difference.
AKA swinging.
And hair too.
Well, if
That
you
is
want
often a
all
lot of
that.
hair.
Perspective.
And that's what I'm saying, trying to persuade.
That's sales.
Right, so I'm saying you're looking at the
And you go under contract knowing that.
misrepresentation of the actual fact.
Uh-huh.
Remy.
Yes, it's
The difference between Remy
So
and
let's go
Fleming.
back to your comment you made first about misrepresentation. Why isn't that not misrepresentation?
What's that?
Trying to catch up.
Why is it
No.
not?
Yeah.
Why is it not? I say it is misrepresentation.
Why?
Because you're coming to me.
You coming to me as a
I say
female,
coming
but
to
you're a
me.
male.
He come to me on the bar.
Or vice versa.
I'm like, who is this?
Or even bleaching. That's misrepresentation for you, man. If your passport have you as a dark skin woman,
at last class.
No.
if your passport have you as dark skin and I trying to verify you in the bank,
That's misrepresentation.
you know, I have to
Misrepresentation.
Your Michael baby.
mango skin now. It's very broad.
You gotta go by
It's very vague.
No, don't mix them things up.
You say this very broad.
Okay. I won't mix it.
Don't mix them up.
Let's make it check.
I know you make it.
So now I'm misrepresenting the transgender's name?
No, why is it
No.
misrepresentation?
Hey, yo, who is you?
Why is it? Is it a misrepresentation of a fact? No. The fact is they are who they are.
Yeah.
The fact is they are who they are. They're not
They
misrepresenting
can't
who they
change
are.
that.
They are who they are in their mind. This is who they are.
They need to update their passport.
No, you can't update it.
You can't
Because
update how you
there's no
born.
category in that.
But if you born,
This one
if
make
you
it.
born one way,
You
you can't change that. You can't
What
change
does
that.
that mean?
If you born as a male, if you born as a male, you
can.
can't.
Yes?
You can change that.
Yes.
Not
You
today.
can go, you can have an
Yeah,
operation.
you can have an
change
operation.
what?
No, I'm saying the fine print says that you're born a male,
Yes,
8 pound male.
yes.
Just make sure.
You could go back to the birth certificate.
No,
place.
just
No.
ask for the birth certificate. That's
No, they can pay that out there.
That is not true.
But isn't that a fact that
Anything
you?
is possible.
Isn't that a fact that
No,
you?
don't do that.
Isn't it a fact that you
Anything
were
is
born a
possible.
male? You saying you can't change that, right?
You mean
Yes, you
on
can
the
change your
document?
sex orientation.
I think you mean it on the document.
I mean, on a document, you
If
can
I fill out a
change.
document now, and I've already had
On this-
all
on
my
your birth
stuff
certificate.
changed,
I
Then
can go on
I
my
can
birth
say-
certificate and say I was born.
you were born a male, you're now a female.
And the birth certificate changed. So I was
The birth
born.
certificate's not gonna change, the birth certificate that started at that point in time.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't change that.
But that's a fact. So
I can pay that.
So
But
you
you're not
misrepresenting.
misrepresenting it because now
You're
I'm telling you
misrepresenting
something
that?
else. No, because I'm not telling you I'm still a male. As you can see me, I'm a woman.
No, but what if you come in front of me as dressed as a female? Look like a female.
Mhm.
That's an everything. Put on your passport. Yeah.
Yeah, and that happens, but remember now, there are many different categories of them.
What the category?
What's the
I
category?
know, I know.
Give me the first category.
If they are male underneath, but they're dressed,
Okay,
then
I
they're
understand.
What if they
transvestite.
get breasts and
No,
Then they're already in the
Oh, and
process.
the homophobites and all that and all that.
Sure, all this
But
They're already in the process.
They go deep.
The changeover.
They go deep.
There's a laceration.
Yeah, real observation.
Something wrong with you. Open this for when it's time for you all to vote.
Hey, of course, righteousness exalts a nation.
So, Ms. Archer,
Please stop.
Please
Please stop. That's right. Huh?
once again,
What? These is where you can challenge a contract in court.
okay.
You can say under influence. That's the weaker party, like I say, like the wife and the husband. Duress is when he say, if you don't sign this, I can shoot you, or I can slap you down or kick you. This one here, when he say there was a mistake, normally by a blind or illiterate person, not someone who could read and write. And then this one here is when there is an event that stops the contract from being completed when it should be completed.
This
Like I say, like a
individuals, right?
hurricane or something like that. No. What do you mean individuals?
Like,
You mean for
I'm in.
under influence?
That's like what?
Mostly, yeah, more individual.
So what would you say like for like two business?
Unless it's a sole proprietorship in a company.
You say frustration is when
Depends.
something, yeah, there's something that happened
Out of your
because.
control.
Out of your control.
Okay.
Hurricane, earthquake,
That-
Termination.
you may need a part for your machinery and the part has to be built. And according to your last service, you didn't need it, but now it has to be built, which means that I can perform my part of the contract within the stipulated time because they now have to build this engine for me and it's gonna take 6 months.
Or, they're on the ship, they're on the boat coming, so.
No.
No, sometimes it takes longer than expected to get here, so they end up going with someone else, they revoke it. They revoke contract, the government does that.
So what?
Like if you hire me to clean your yard and I send my equipment on the boat, my lawnmower and all that good stuff, the weed whacker, and there is a delay in its delivery, I can go with someone else. The offerer can go with someone else.
That's if the contract, the frustration of the contract is reasonable.
That ain't reasonable if it's taking 6 months to get it.
That means it never was on the boat.
You
You see what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say?
I know.
Okay, this is why you're in this class, so you understand contract law. Don't think street law. That's why before when y'all go to court,
How you thinking,
y'all
Bruce?
see laws and say, oh, don't make no sense me going to court because they ain't gonna do nothing, no how.
Yeah.
You have to think, this is what you sign up for. And if the contract is frustrated, the contract can actually say based upon whatever the service is, what happens next. And sometimes there are penalties involved. Because if I'm relying on you to do something in order for me to get something else done, I'm going to charge you. So let's just say I had a hotel and I'm renovating this wing. And I said, I contracted you to shampoo all my rugs, paint the room, do the curtains, change the curtains. And you said, I can have that done in 6 months. You sign a contract. You can supply all these things, you'll have it done in 6 months. So let's just say the 6 month date is today's date. I've already gone out and advertised and booked rooms. Effective the 1st of February. And you come to me with all kind of things, but, oh, I'm only quarterly, Sally was sick, this one didn't come, that one, changed his gender, he having a surgery. Like, seriously? So whatever money I lose because of you, you will pay it.
It's only fair enough.
So it ain't just revoking a contract, there are costs.
Terms and conditions.
It's in there, the penalty is. Okay, so I know you'll always hear this term breach of contract. What does that mean?
You did something you
You did
shouldn't have
something you
done.
weren't supposed to do.
You think so?
Yeah.
Telling you.
Damages.
You did something against the term and condition.
Such as?
Damages.
I ain't think it's supposed to be.
Action.
You just talk about it.
Oh, that's what.
Frustration. Or
That's a real lawyer term.
Influence.
no.
the rest.
If I frustrated, what did we say just now?
It's out of your control.
And then we do what? He just said it.
Revoke.
Right, we bring the contract to an end. But if there is a condition within the contract, and I do not carry out that condition, and that condition is required for the contract to be fulfilled, then I will sue you for breach of contract. Okay? And whatever this condition is, it has to be, would be termed in contract law, fundamental to the contract, which means that the contract cannot continue because this has not been done.
Yeah. Okay. Talking about the document, the Fire Festival.
You'll watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, they get kicked off on Orlinski because they mentioned that it was once owned by Pablo Escobar, and he told them not to mention it, and that's the first thing they did. In the agreement, so
And
they
what does
went
that have
kick
to
off.
do with the concert?
They ended it.
He told, that was a part of their
False
contract,
advertising.
he told them not to mention that it was once owned by
That's how they get
Pablo
it.
Escobar, and that's the first thing that.
Why did he mention that in the first place?
To get people
Exactly.
excited.
To try to make it hype, and make people wanna come there.
Pablo Escobar have
How,
plenty fans.
but him being there on that island before, how is that a selling point?
Like,
It is. for
He's
some
not
It
there.
is, it is.
Is there a house there?
Oh my
No,
God,
the-
I
the-
wonder if
What's there, his footprints?
I wonder if he-
The bed he slept in?
Exactly. So
What is
they-
there?
they
No,
men-
seriously, you that gullible?
They mentioned
A lot of
it,
people are.
they mentioned it.
For something that's
and then
invisible?
Yes.
He
That's the
breached the contract, so they had to.
Would you like to teach this class? Because Christina should walk this path. Seriously? Now you see what I'm saying? It's like,
No, but that's their culture.
But that's
That's the
a-
US culture.
but no, what I'm saying,
They have a lot
that
of
doesn't
idols.
make sense to you?
Not to you or me, but to them,
Yeah.
yes.
They have a lot of idols.
Because I'm going on this island
That made
because
it
he lived there.
He
luxurious.
loves
But then you
that.
Where's
had,
the
you had,
evidence?
if you had people who purchased tickets, that was one of the things that sold them.
Mhm.
We're
But
going
he's
to
not
Pablo
there.
It made them
Escobar's
think the
island.
He's in
island was-
jail.
Pablo looked at this wrong.
What's there? Drugs
No,
there?
for real, that's what it is.
Yeah.
What
there?
Pablo
You might never
Escobar's
know.
island.
You have a shoe?
Just to say that you've been there.
Yeah.
Why?
That's
That's
how
what he was
people,
there.
that's the hype in the club.
That's why people come here, because Christopher Columbus
Hey,
found
you
us
see
a
the-
house.
hey, you see the picture?
Why you think
That's
that?
what
That's the
people
government house taking picture of Christopher
Do you,
Columbus.
do you
but
know,
they
do you
can-
know why they come here even up to the day what some of the tourists said?
Why?
Because you all are pirates.
See? See? It's the pirate island.
They stupid.
Now you see why they want to come to Pablo Escobar.
There is no evidence that we are descendant from pirates.
None.
None.
Zero.
Biologically.
No.
There's none. There's no book you read that say that any pirates
Never read.
had any children or anybody who was here.
You know that?
They just is all
No.
passing through.
They pass through. They come here, blow up, and take, there they go.
The light-skinned people.
No, I'm saying there's nothing written. But I'm saying there's nothing written.
Yeah. It ain't no-
You see?
Who said you're a pirate descendant?
But what we do understand from the statue in front of the Hilton is that the first set of governors that came here from England were trained by the mentors of Black Bear. And so that mentality of being a pirate is what we have. You see what I'm saying? And that's why they keep people, the older people keep saying, that's why they keep looking for treasure. And the waters are too deep.
Like on
And then the dance get to come over the bridge.
and I was big man in China. She's like,
Yeah.
"No man, just hair." She's like, "What? Man in China right on it."
So it's that kind of thing. As far as people can tell from historically, this is the land of
So that's why
pirates.
the straw
Pablo
market
Escobar's
is
island.
Yes.
That's why it's so like.
And that's why they are so fascinated
Yeah, like
when
oh,
they when they see us and want to take pictures of us.
Oh, wow.
Had security.
I like the police, they like the pictures.
Yeah.
What they like them police too?
Yeah, they do.
Them white suit, them
It's a
white.
fascination to come to a country that's from the land of pirates.
I'd run one of them for running.
And you have to
They probably
realize
think
it
the
too.
police like
Look in
some
their
kind of
eyes.
special thing.
Just stand up and look when people pass. Everybody is
Hey,
driving
hey.
very expensive cars on an island that's 21/7.
Where they think we used to live in huts.
Then we should be living in huts. And they still think we live in huts.
And they want
They
to see
still
that.
do. People who've never been here
They do.
still believe we live in
Yes.
huts.
Yep.
Yeah,
With
they
no
think
internet and stuff.
Even
they been to
as-
some
even-
kind of exotic place.
Even
like-
as much as we have advertised our offshore banking, all of these years, 80+ years or so, they still believe there are no banks here.
They don't think school there,
No.
Yeah, they don't think schools.
They still believe. They can't believe when they see us walking around and these suits, they're like shocked.
When they see us go over there and they ask us where you from, the Bahamas. Wow.
Yeah, where is that?
It's
An
like,
exotic place. Are you comfortable in
Like
these
I,
clothes?
yeah.
Yes.
No way.
I'd love to see
Where
the Bahamas.
is it?
And
Must live on the beach.
Yeah, that's what they think.
That's what I was
We
thinking.
just drink coconut water and live on the beach. They'll say, oh, you have a lovely
Yeah, oh yeah, they got this
Once
option.
I leave the
Yeah,
water,
yeah, say that,
It's those kind of things.
yeah.
Those ones. You
Oh yeah, they scare me too.
have to understand what you face.
Yeah.
And you can never get rid of that piracy or that way of thinking. Why you think people are all about popping up all of these things all over Netflix and this one talking about say, this government official said I had to give them something underneath the table. May not be true, you know. But in their mind, this is our culture as pirates. This is the land of where everybody must get a cut for something. You see?
I wanted to drink one of them.
plenty collect gold.
Yes. So how else can you
Breach of contract.
have a breach of contract? For those who read. Now I ain't hearing nothing. All the readers. Mm-hmm.
You mean the performance?
Yes, when they don't perform the contract in the way in which it was agreed. So you can say you have a breach of contract.
So performance,
The innocence,
frustration,
the innocence of a party involved,
What do you mean?
like them just not knowing the full details of the contract.
Who? Which party?
The party
They sign
involved.
Who? What do you mean?
That's a normal thing.
No, explain that to me.
Reality
I
boost.
signed,
That's a
no,
reality.
no, I'm
What do you
saying,
mean?
you
Blind or
signed-
illiterate?
I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't read the whole
Ignorance
contract.
is not
That's
excuse.
ignorance.
Oh, ignorance, okay.
You have to either be blind or illiterate and that'll be the mistake. thing,
Exactly.
right?
So when there's a contract, what remedy you have?
You have
Damages, yes. Or
Sue.
sue means you put in an action for
It's some.
damages. So you can have damages, action for an agreed sum. And don't forget in the contract it may say that if you don't do this within a certain time, 15% penalty, 10% penalty, like that. That's the agreed sum. Or sometimes we have a lump sum, $10,000, $15,000, $1.5 million. So that's why you see sometimes when government enter into contract and you'll hear the voice in the paper saying, oh, why they don't just get out of it? They have to look at the penalties involved
Yeah.
and whether or not the action is actually a frustration
Cheaper
to
to stay.
stay in
That's why
it.
you read the penalties and all this first.
Would legal capacity also be a reason for a breach of contract? The age factor?
No, that's not even a breach.
No.
It's not valid.
It wouldn't be valid.
Yeah.
Alright.
And then there are what we call, so the ones we talk about damages, as much as it's worth or an agreed sum, are what we call common law damages.
Common law.
Common law. So whenever you apply for those, it's based on case law. So what the lawyer will do is they'll look and find out that there is a case. Remember when we talked about law and precedent? that are gonna look for precedents. What's close to your issue and how much were they awarded?
So they'll
And that's
be
how they,
based on that.
and they based on that. So if someone had a case that was close to yours or just about the same thing, and they were awarded $1 million, that's the case that they will use for the sum that you're going to get,
I need a case.
right? If you say, all right, my damages is $2 million, and the largest case that ever won was 1.5,
That's as
You-
much as you can
Can't get that.
that's your starting point for you to argue
That's like
Oh,
why
starting
you need
point.
to go here.
get. To two.
You're gonna have to prove why you need to go, why it's such a large
Cases
amount.
might be different, eh?
If it's different, that's a
Just
total,
prove
that's,
it.
yeah, you
You
have to
still
prove.
need something to stand on.
You have to have something to stand on, so you have to start. And what was the last case that was similar to yours? So you're not just looking at the event that frustrated the contract, but you're looking at the damages that were awarded. So you're putting two things together. And we either gonna use what? What kind of precedents?
Common law.
Common law.
Common law. No, no.
Precedents.
Oh, I know.
Rephrase that.
I know,
I know.
but I can't.
B and P.
B and P?
Yes. B and P. Precedents.
Pass, pass.
No.
I just guess. Okay.
Binding and
Binding.
P. Persuasive.
Oh, yes.
Boom,
Okay.
Yes.
boom.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
That's no excuse. See, again,
Oh,
again,
yes, it
ignorance is no excuse.
Yes.
He wasn't here. What that have to do with me?
Page 20.
All right? So damages, action for agreed sum, and quantum merit is common law. Which means it's based on case law. Highest court of the land?
Lady counsel.
Okay. Who's persuasive?
Give me a note, break it down.
He wasn't here. You should have
I
read it.
read it, I did read it.
Who's
That's what I
persuasive?
understand.
Who's persuasive?
The magistrate?
No.
Court of appeal.
Who's persuasive?
Is that that?
What?
I mean, who's
I don't
persuasive?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
The
We
court of
discussed this in
appeal-
class, you should have some notes.
The court of appeal?
Who's persuasive? No.
I don't understand the question.
What you mean?
Is it?
Y'all have no notes, I see blank
Is
clear
it?
white
No, no, no,
paper.
I have
I have
Who's
them in my phone.
persuasive?
Who was in class last week?
The only thing I'm seeing here is the pretty.
Yes, yes, you know, who's persuasive?
Legal
Huh?
counsel?
No. Who's persuasive?
Why I put that on?
I can even remember writing it right over in this corner.
Right in the
Tell us
end.
who was persuasive.
What? Nice.
No?
Right in the
When
end,
you
but
did that
also
last.
wasn't here.
Who's persuasive? Persuasive are other Commonwealth jurisdictions.
Mine
You're a
Yes.
member of the Commonwealth. Yes,
That
you
right,
remember
Joe?
it, right? And I
Stop.
wrote it in the
Stop,
border
stop,
there.
stop it.
So you go to other Commonwealth jurisdictions to see what decisions they made.
I made your mind.
Because we are part of the Commonwealth.
So the Commonwealth Caribbean jurisdiction is that what you're referring to?
It's more than just the Caribbean. Any Commonwealth
Any
jurisdiction.
Commonwealth. So those are the persuasive ones.
Yes. Remember I gave you all some names of some?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the name?
No, I gave it to you already. He was right here.
I didn't get it.
They asked them. It was right here.
They don't know.
They should
I didn't know it
have
was here, but my mind wasn't here.
Mm,
What you call that?
Another day.
What you call that in law?
Excuse. Excuse.
I don't even remember.
Excuse. All right. So there are remedies you can get by common law, which is case law. Right? So you have binding precedents. Binding precedents means that the lower courts must follow the decisions of the higher court. And the highest court in the land in the Bahamas is the Privy Council. If you can't find it there, then you can use decisions made by other Commonwealth jurisdictions that are persuasive.
You did say that last time.
Oh, thank you.
So you find it in
I
the
just didn't put that
council,
up.
you said?
What you say?
I didn't know what you say. Repeat it, please.
Third time. The highest court of the land is the Privy
Privy
Council.
Council, that's what I
All,
heard.
all courts, law, are binded by
Right,
the Privy Council.
okay.
A magistrate court must follow the decisions of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court must follow the decision of the Court of Appeal.
and
Court of
the Privy
Appeal
Council.
must follow the decision of the Privy
So the
Council.
Privy Council follow decision made by who?
They are the highest court of the land.
So they
They
go
from
based on,
England.
They go
They
straight
are,
England.
they are the highest court for us.
Pretty, yeah.
Anything about
In a Commonwealth jurisdiction, this one, according to our constitution that you were
Privy
supposed to
Council is
read,
the
they are the
highest.
highest court of the
So if
land.
they can't
Me
figure
personally,
something out, they go
They
to
do.
I know, right, she ain't missing out on that constitution.
Huh?
So what is the case,
Okay.
I'm not gonna hurt you.
so if a case.
You
in
keep
the-
saying it can hurt your head, but it is your right.
If a case in the Privy Council,
Because his comment, if he'd read the constitution, then he would understand the argument.
I read it, that's
That
why I
is
couldn't say
Facebook.
that. How about that?
so
So what does the constitution
what's the
say about
first thing in the
gender?
constitution?
What does it say about gender? What does it say about gender?
What does it say?
Gender doesn't matter.
No, it does not say that.
Oh,
It's a,
I don't know. It's-
you're a
It's
Christian
a
nation.
Christian nation.
You hear that because the Christian Council keeps saying that. Anyhow, so we know what the common law remedies are.
Ms. Ashley, you can't just, bring us a copy of the constitution.
You have to buy it.
Scratch it.
How much were it?
No,
How
you
much were
don't,
it?
you don't copy it.
How much is it?
You're not supposed
No,
It's
you're not
on
supposed to.
Obama.com.
No,
I just asked her why.
it's a copyrighted document. It is your rights. Wherever you go, you should have that with you.
Can't be having no bootleg on you.
No, I don't know, $15, $20 is minimal for knowing your rights, but then you don't know your
They should
rights.
attach this in this fee.
You don't know your rights.
I don't just read it
Yeah, they should have put
They
it
should
Oh, you can
attach
read
it
it
in
online,
the
but it's
fee.
too long.
Says-
You wanna make it
says-
into the meeting.
Ms. Acho? Ms.
National
Acho?
stationers are there.
Who have it? Book what?
National stationers. Top word. Let me not answer you. The next,
We find it in the book.
the other route for
Man,
remedies is you can get an equitable remedy. What I mean by equitable remedy,
How much you, equity? How much have you invested in to the particular thing? That's that. How much you invested in, you will be able to redeem that upon your claim.
you think you're talking about
Come
soft
on.
No.
Ah,
If you
okay.
want, if you want to get a remedy, and we say it is under equitable principle, then the court decides what is fair and what is just, based upon the circumstances of the contract. The judge makes that decision.
Not the jury.
There's no jury when it comes to contract law.
So equitable remedies is just solely based on.
Say that again. Say
Yeah,
again.
I know what.
Yeah.
You Google that it.
It's just in law today.
And common law ones are
What?
based on.
Adjustments.
What?
Yeah.
Most words have more than one meaning.
Where you get any of this information from?
Right, what else do you think
There's
equity means?
29.
What do you say?
Page.
Years on?
Fine
Equity
word,
means
fine word.
fair and just.
Fine word, fine word.
Fair and just.
Equity.
So, if you enter a contract and you want to get an equitable remedy, the first thing is specific performance. And I know you've heard a lot about that before.
No, what is that?
To what the contract says?
I don't
Do what the contract says. Whatever it is that you agreed,
You have to do.
I want you to do it.
Okay.
You can't change your mind. This is what we agreed. The next one is injunction, and I know you heard about that. An injunction means the court says, whatever you're doing, stop. Yeah, it's right away. The next one is rescission. What is that? Last page.
You can call.
Just terminate it and put them wherever you want.
Oh, wait,
Go back to the very beginning.
Go back there.
To the very beginning where you started.
Yeah. Go
Okay?
back to that.
And what's rectification?
Correct some mistakes.
So if
So
you
that would be
came,
like-
if you came and you
that
said
would
this
be like
contract
a-
is not valid because there is a mistake,
A fair situation.
yeah, you have it rectified.
Okay.
He said he made a mistake, didn't that's what he said? The real estate agent was a mistake, so he needs to bring you a new contract.
So the court will give you a time period to,
But they can do this themselves, this is small. We ain't talking no big money.
no, we talking big, we ain't talking big. So they will give you a time period to
Before you leave,
rectify.
the lawyer for this side will say, this is gonna take me 30 days. The lawyer on this side will say, that's too long.
Yep.
I need it in 15. Can you take 15?
No,
I can
so
do it in
if them-
15.
two of them can't
It's
have
15.
period.
Then the judge will say 10.
Ten,
That's it.
Cold.
Or 10 is just the number.
KOM.
The judge can say any number like.
You can't
I
handle
know, I
the
know, I
payment.
know.
And the judge looking at the complexity, he can decide how much time you
Fair
need.
Yeah, you can
adjust.
decide.
This only
Well,
needs
it's fair
fair
adjust.
adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Remember, everything to do with law has to do with what is not just fair and just, but what is reasonable.
Yeah.
That's why you always see that word reasonable, or the reasonableness of what you asking for. So you don't go and throw these far-fetched numbers, because it's not reasonable. That's the first thing the judge will say.
Gotta go with
Well,
sense.
this person slipped down in the food store, the maximum they got was this, and this was because there was joy on the floor, there was no coon on the floor, you could have seen the water, or you couldn't see the water on the floor, they knew that it was there for an hour. You saw the coon, you saw the sludge, but you still slipped. Come on, you're not gonna get the same amount of money.
But you're gonna get some.
You'll get something,
Because you know, it-
but you
Robert
contributed
does-
towards your own negligence.
Something better than nothing.
Yeah, and you limp for the rest of your life.
You don't really have to be limping.
I'm just saying.
You know?
I see the woman sue the church for falling down.
You can sue anybody in the body, you can
She
sue them.
goes straight to
She
hell.
said someone should have been there to
She
catch
goes
her.
straight
When
to
he saw
hell.
that she was so far gone in the Holy
She
Spirit.
goes straight to hell.
I don't know where he getting these things from.
You know what I mean? She was on Judge Judy.
You'll have to stop here. So, I have a sheet here that speaks about the relevance between contract law and the law of banking.
I see what they mean, they say it's not, it's not.
Oh, don't listen to what people say.
No, that's why she said she
Apply
sees
yourself.
So she really sees God.
Father help me.
So they wasn't lying then.
No.
See? Sometimes it's good
Stop
to say.
something in it. When you leave here, you need to put on your law. Alright? Now homework.
And I do that.
Yes?
Man, I'm keeping your hair.
What?
It's a break. We didn't take a lot just now.
What that
We
means?
all from book to people to say, no, what you have to go on with young man.
Oh, Father help me.
What's his name?
He's in my class tomorrow.
Tell him homework.
Okay.
I'll tell you now, if you miss the class, you miss how to do it.
No, sure.
Miss
And that
LaClasse,
means-
meaning tonight.
No, next week. If you miss the class, you'll miss how to do it.
When this
And
new
that
bike?
means when you go to do the midterm,
How to
you
do
know how
that?
to answer.
You might say, tell us how to do this
No,
now.
I don't know.
You can study it.
Based on your notes, you try to figure it out. So when you come to class, you can discuss it, and then you will see how or where you went wrong, based
Right
upon the
way
way
to
in
go
which
about
So
you
this ain't no
thought.
grade then?
No.
Okay,
Where
so-
is your midterm exam?
This trial and
Okay,
error.
so what's
What's
the
the midterm
instructions?
based on?
Answer the question.
That's not true.
Oh, you have a question?
I have two questions. sir.
Advise David and
I don't
advise
see
Alice.
why.
That's right, thank you.
What?
Advise David and advise
There's a
Alice.
line across the two different scenarios.
There are instructions, not questions.
They're not instructions, how do you get instructions?
There's scenarios, eh?
They're scenarios.
This what you
It's a
was telling
case.
us about
You gotta be at Christmas.
the offer there?
Yes.
Right, right,
But you,
Okay.
right. So,
you,
this right, let us know the difference between,
When you read the question, you know what is required for a contract. Not all question requires all of the elements. A question could just be based on consideration.
Educate us,
Yeah.
A
educate
question
us.
could just
That's
be based on whether or not there actually was
So
an
that them
offer
elements-
or an invitation to
The
treat.
same way.
good. Educate us, that's good.
Okay?
I love
Alright.
that. I love how you
Okay.
put that.
Good?
So you should tell us the first one before we leave, so we can do the second
No,
one.
bye, see you later. Do not come here next week with blank sheets of paper. And believe that you can sit down and just write what you write on the board. Because when you go in the exam, it's a different scenario. And if you haven't learned the way in which to think in order to answer the question, trust me, you'll lose 20 points. You got the essay question? Research question? You have written up? Everybody got the research question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I saw the email.
Okay.
I saw it. I have to show you what
Tonight.
What page?
See this man, say this class is make him drink.
Who?
I ain't calling him names.
What?
It's under duress.
What's under duress? Yes. It's up to you. Why?
Because you know last night I was in routine and nothing.
What do you need to say? You need to read.
I don't do that.
But you gotta come with questions. You getting it now?
It's the tying it all together.
Did you get anything today?
Trying, yeah.
It's tying it all together, that's the thing.
Yeah, what
I
happened?
left work late.
Okay, so can you come 5:30 next week? So, yeah,
Father next week.
yeah,
And
next
you can
week.
do questions.
Try it. Okay?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Have a good night.
Good night.